Right now, somewhere in your brain, there's a wound that never fully healed. You can't see it. You can't point to it. But your body remembers every single rejection you've ever felt. The friend who stopped replying, the person who chose someone else, the job offer that never came. And here's what almost nobody knows. Your brain processes that pain using the exact same circuitry it uses for physical injury. Not something similar, not something comparable, the same. Break a bone, and a region called the anterior cingulate cortex lights up. Get dumped through a text message at 2 a.m., and that same region lights up. Your brain, in a very real sense, cannot tell the difference between a broken heart and a broken rib. But here's the strange part. This isn't a metaphor scientists made up to sound poetic. It's a measurable, repeatable finding, and it terrified the researchers who first discovered it. In 2003, a psychologist named Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA designed an experiment that seemed almost too simple to matter. She put people in an fMRI scanner and had them play a virtual game of catch with two other players. Except the other players weren't real. They were computer-controlled, and at a certain point, they stopped throwing the ball to the participant. No insult, no argument, no words at all. Just silence. Just exclusion. And the brain scans that came back were something nobody expected. The same neural pathway that fires when your hand touches a hot stove, fired when players were simply left out of a game. Scientists didn't discover the true depth of this until they started asking a darker question. What if you could numb social pain the same way you numb physical pain? So they tried it. In a follow-up study, researchers gave people Tylenol, a basic painkiller, for 3 weeks straight, and tracked their emotional response to rejection. The results should not have been possible. People taking the painkiller reported significantly less emotional distress from social rejection than those on a placebo. Let that sink in. A drug meant for headaches and sore muscles was quietly numbing heartbreak. The worst part? This isn't some evolutionary glitch, some accident of wiring. It's not a bug. It's a feature. One that's been running in your species for hundreds of thousands of years, for a reason far more brutal than you'd expect. Because to your ancient ancestors, rejection wasn't an inconvenience. It was a death sentence. Tens of thousands of years ago, if your tribe cast you out, you didn't go home and cry into a pillow. You didn't scroll through old messages at midnight. You walked into the wilderness alone. No weapons strong enough. No way to hunt large prey by yourself. No protection when night fell and predators started circling. Exclusion meant exposure. Exposure meant death. So evolution did something ruthless. It hijacked your pain system, the same one designed to stop you from touching fire, and wired it to fire the moment your social bonds were threatened. Rejection had to hurt. If it didn't, you wouldn't fight to belong. And if you didn't belong, you didn't survive. But this raises a bigger question. If this system was built to keep you alive in a world of tribes and predators, why does it still activate when someone leaves you on red? That question is where things get disturbing. Your brain doesn't know what year it is. It doesn't know you're safe in a locked apartment with food in the fridge and a phone in your hand. As far as your nervous system is concerned, you're still standing on the savannah, and every unanswered message is a potential exile. That's the disturbing part. The threat is gone. The alarm system never got the memo. And it gets worse. In 2011, another researcher, Ethan Cross, wanted to know exactly how deep this went. He gathered a group of people who had all recently gone through intense romantic rejection, the kind that leaves you staring at a ceiling at 3 a.m. He put them in a scanner. Then he showed them photos of the person who broke their heart. What happened next changed everything scientists thought they understood about heartbreak. The exact same brain regions that activate when you burn your hand on a stove lit up again. Not similar regions, not emotionally related regions. The literal pain matrix. Identical activation. Rejection wasn't just like physical pain anymore. In the language of the brain, it was indistinguishable from it. But here's where it gets even stranger. Cross found something else. Something almost nobody talks about. Physical pain has a shelf life. Break your arm, and the agony peaks, then fades as the bone heals. Social pain doesn't follow that rule. You can be rejected by someone 20 years ago and still feel a spike of that same neural activation just from hearing their name. Time heals physical wounds. It does not reliably heal this one. Almost nobody realizes why. And the answer traces back to something even darker than rejection itself: isolation. In the 1950s, a researcher named Harry Harlow ran an experiment on infant monkeys that would never be approved today. He separated baby monkeys from their mothers and gave them 2 artificial replacements. One was made of cold wire, but it dispensed milk. The other was made of soft cloth, offered no food at all, but was warm and could be held. Logic says the monkeys should have clung to the wire mother. Food equals survival. They didn't. The infant monkey spent nearly all their time clinging to the cloth mother, only leaving to feed from the wire one out of necessity, then rushing straight back. When researchers introduced something frightening into the cage, the monkeys didn't run toward food. They ran toward comfort, toward connection, even fake connection. That's when things got weird. The monkeys raised in total isolation without even a cloth mother grew up fundamentally broken, anxious, aggressive, unable to form normal social bonds for the rest of their lives. Connection wasn't a luxury for them, it was structural. Remove it, and something in the architecture of the mind simply failed to develop correctly. And here's the part that should unsettle you. Humans are not so different. Studies on prolonged social isolation in humans show elevated inflammation, disrupted sleep, weakened immune response, and cognitive decline that mirrors physical illness. Loneliness doesn't just feel bad. It measurably shortens your life. Some researchers claim by an effect comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. 15 cigarettes, just from being alone. So rejection doesn't only hurt in the moment, it's a warning signal, screaming that isolation, the ancient killer, might be coming. But if this system was built purely to protect you, why does it sometimes turn against you completely? That's when researchers found something disturbing. For some people, rejection doesn't fade into a dull ache. It becomes a wound that never closes. Psychologists have a name for it: rejection sensitivity. And the people who carry it aren't weak. They're wired differently. Brain scans show something specific in people with high rejection sensitivity. Their emotional alarm systems don't just activate during rejection. They activate in anticipation of rejection that hasn't even happened yet. A slightly delayed text, a friend's flat tone of voice, a look that lasted half a second too long. To that brain, these aren't small moments. They're 5 alarm fires. But here's the strange part. Researchers traced this pattern back to something most people would never expect: early experiences of inconsistent love, children who grew up unsure whether affection would be there, sometimes warm, sometimes cold, sometimes absent entirely, developed nervous systems permanently primed to detect abandonment. Their brain isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it was trained to do. It's just still fighting a war that ended years ago. And this is where the real horror of rejection reveals itself. It doesn't stay in the past. It reaches forward and shapes decisions you haven't made yet. Studies on rejection sensitivity show something chilling. People who fear rejection most intensely often unconsciously sabotage relationships before rejection can even happen. They leave first. They push people away. They convince themselves they never wanted connection at all. Not because they don't feel pain, because the anticipation of pain becomes unbearable enough to destroy the very thing that could have prevented it. The wound protects itself by creating more wounds. But none of that was the real problem. Here's what shocked researchers most. This entire system, the pain, the hypervigilance, the ancient alarm bells, isn't a flaw in human design. It's proof of something almost nobody wants to admit. You were never built to survive alone. Not physically, not psychologically, not neurologically. Every circuit screaming inside you during rejection is a circuit built entirely around connection, around belonging, around other people, which means the pain you feel when someone leaves isn't a malfunction. It's evidence. Evidence that somewhere in your biology, you already knew the truth long before modern science caught up to it. Humans were never meant to be isolated units, surviving independently, needing no one. You are, at the level of your nervous system, built for other people. That single fMRI, scanned from 2003, the one that started this entire chain of discovery, wasn't just revealing how the brain processes rejection, it was revealing what you are: a creature so dependent on connection that your body treats its absence as a threat to your survival, because for most of human history, it was. So tonight, when you feel that sting, a message left unread, a friend who didn't call back, someone who chose silence instead of you, understand what's actually happening. That isn't weakness. That's 10,000 generations of ancestors encoded into your nervous system, screaming the same warning they always have. Don't be alone. Don't be cast out. Don't disappear into the dark without your tribe. The pain isn't proof that something is wrong with you. It's proof that you were built to belong to someone. And maybe the real question was never, why does rejection hurt so much? Maybe the real question is, what does it say about you that you were built to need people this badly in the first place?